In the tapestry of human existence, woven with threads of ambition, aspiration, and the unending quest for meaning, we often find ourselves captivated by the pursuit of knowledge, the acquisition of skills, and the accumulation of worldly possessions. We measure success by tangible metrics, celebrate achievements that resonate with societal norms, and strive to ascend the hierarchical ladders of power and influence. Yet, amidst this relentless pursuit of external validation, a subtle, often overlooked aspect of human development quietly shapes our character, influences our relationships, and ultimately determines the quality of our lives: wisdom. For years, as I have traversed the landscape of human experience, observing the intricate dance of interactions, the ebb and flow of emotions, and the diverse expressions of human behavior, I have come to a profound realization. Intelligence, as conventionally defined, is but one facet of a far more complex and nuanced quality. It is not merely about the volume of information we possess, the speed at which we process data, or the ability to solve intricate puzzles. True intelligence, the kind that transcends mere intellect, is deeply intertwined with wisdom, the ability to navigate the complexities of life with discernment, compassion, and a profound understanding of oneself and the world around us. But what exactly constitutes wisdom? How does it manifest in our daily lives? And, perhaps more importantly, how can we cultivate it within ourselves? This is where the journey takes an unexpected turn. For in the pursuit of wisdom, it is often more illuminating to examine its antithesis, folly. By identifying the signs of a mind lacking in wisdom, we can gain a clearer understanding of the qualities that define true understanding and, in turn, avoid the pitfalls that hinder our own growth and development. Before you dismiss this exploration as an exercise in intellectual arrogance or a thinly veiled attempt at judgment, I urge you to consider its deeper purpose. Spotting these signs of unwisdom is not about casting aspersions on others or elevating ourselves on a pedestal of moral superiority. It is about fostering self-reflection, promoting personal growth, and cultivating a more compassionate and understanding approach to human interactions. It is also about extending a helping hand to those who may be trapped in cycles of self-defeating behavior, unaware of the barriers they have erected in their own paths. Therefore, I invite you to embark on this journey of discovery with me. Together, we will unravel the 6 undeniable signs of a mind that is not yet aligned with wisdom, each carrying a valuable lesson, a compelling story, and a metaphorical mirror for us to examine our own beliefs and behaviors. For the path to wisdom, as with any transformative journey, begins with awareness, a willingness to confront our own limitations, acknowledge our imperfections, and embrace the potential for growth that lies within each of us. Are you ready to walk this road with me? Let's begin. Sign 1. The closed mind, a fortress of ignorance. The first and perhaps most pervasive sign of a mind lacking in wisdom is the presence of a closed mind, a fortress of ignorance built brick by brick with a mortar of fear, pride, and stubbornness. Individuals who exhibit this characteristic are not merely resistant to new ideas. They actively reject them, constructing impenetrable walls around their existing beliefs and shutting themselves off from the vast ocean of knowledge that surrounds them. These individuals often perceive the world through a rigid filter, where everything must conform to their preconceived notions and operate according to their familiar rules. Anything that deviates from this established order is viewed with suspicion, hostility, and outright rejection. They cling to the comfort of the known, fearing the uncertainty and potential disruption that new perspectives might bring. Their confidence, often displayed as an unwavering conviction in their own rightness, serves as a facade, masking a deeper insecurity and a fear of being proven wrong. True confidence, born from a genuine understanding of the world, acknowledges the vastness of the unknown and embraces the continuous process of learning and self-discovery. The closed-minded, however, mistake rigidity for strength, clinging to their beliefs with a tenacity that borders on fanaticism. Consider the example of Mark, a department manager at a company where I once worked. Mark was a staunch traditionalist, convinced that the old ways of working were superior to any modern innovation. Despite mounting evidence that his team was falling behind competitors in terms of efficiency and productivity, he remained steadfast in his resistance to change. When a younger employee, eager to contribute and improve the team's performance, suggested implementing modern project management software to streamline workflows and enhance collaboration, Mark dismissed the idea outright. "We've done it this way for 10 years, and it's worked fine," he declared, his tone leaving no room for discussion. The consequences of Mark's closed-mindedness were predictable and detrimental. While other teams within the company embraced new technologies and methodologies, making significant strides in their performance, Mark's team languished, burdened by outdated processes and hampered by a lack of collaboration. As the team's performance declined, Mark refused to acknowledge his own role in the problem. Instead, he blamed his staff for their lack of motivation, the market for its increasing competitiveness, and even luck for the misfortunes that had befallen them. He never once questioned his own entrenched mindset or considered the possibility that his resistance to change was the root cause of the team's struggles. A closed mind, like a dam obstructing the flow of a river, doesn't just block the influx of new knowledge. It also stagnates the growth of everyone around it. It stifles creativity, discourages innovation, and creates a culture of fear where individuals are afraid to challenge the status quo or offer alternative perspectives. In contrast, wise individuals are characterized by their openness to new ideas, their willingness to question their own assumptions, and their unwavering commitment to lifelong learning. They understand that knowledge is not a fixed entity, but rather a constantly evolving landscape, and that true wisdom lies not in possessing all the answers, but in the ability to adapt, to learn, and to grow. Stoic philosophy, a school of thought that emphasizes virtue, reason, and living in accordance with nature, offers valuable insights into the importance of cultivating an open mind. Stoics believe that wisdom is not about always being right, but about the ability to learn from our mistakes, to adapt to changing circumstances, and to continuously strive for self-improvement. The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius, a renowned Stoic philosopher, wrote extensively about the importance of embracing change and challenging our own beliefs. In his book Meditations, he urged readers to accept everything that happens, even if it seems unpleasant, because it leads to something good. He also emphasized the importance of being open to instruction and correcting our errors. If you notice this tendency towards closed-mindedness in yourself or in someone you work with, remember that embracing innovation and fostering a culture of continuous learning is not just beneficial for personal growth. It also creates a more productive, innovative, and fulfilling work environment. Be brave enough to say, "I was wrong, and I want to learn." Only when the walls of stubbornness crumble can true wisdom take root and flourish. To further illustrate the detrimental effects of a closed mind, let's delve into a few more case studies and explore practical strategies for overcoming this debilitating trait. The case of the resisting teacher. Mrs. Henderson, a veteran high school English teacher, had been teaching the same curriculum for over 20 years. She relied on the same textbooks, the same lesson plans, and the same teaching methods that had served her well in the past. However, as technology advanced and student learning styles evolved, Mrs. Henderson's approach began to feel outdated and ineffective. When the school administration introduced new interactive learning platforms and encouraged teachers to incorporate technology into their classrooms, Mrs. Henderson resisted. She argued that technology was a distraction for students and that traditional methods were superior. She refused to attend training sessions on the new platforms and continued to rely on her old lesson plans. As a result, Mrs. Henderson's students became increasingly disengaged and their performance declined. They found her lessons boring and irrelevant, and they struggled to connect with the material. Mrs. Henderson's closed-mindedness not only hindered her own professional development, but also negatively impacted the learning experiences of her students. The solution: a mentor teacher was assigned to work with Mrs. Henderson, providing her with personalized support and guidance on integrating technology into her teaching. The mentor patiently demonstrated the benefits of the new platforms and helped Mrs. Henderson design engaging lessons that incorporated interactive elements. Slowly, Mrs. Henderson began to embrace the new technologies and discovered that they could enhance her teaching and improve student outcomes. The case of the stubborn entrepreneur, Mr. Davis, the founder of a small manufacturing company, had built his business from the ground up. He was proud of his success and confident in his ability to make decisions. However, as the market shifted and new competitors emerged, Mr. Davis's company began to struggle. His employees suggested implementing new marketing strategies, investing in research and development, and diversifying their product line. However, Mr. Davis dismissed these ideas, clinging to the belief that his traditional approach was the only way to succeed. As a result, Mr. Davis's company continued to decline, losing market share and struggling to stay afloat. His stubbornness and resistance to change ultimately threatened the survival of his business. The solution: Mr. Davis was encouraged to seek advice from a business consultant who specialized in helping companies adapt to changing market conditions. The consultant conducted a thorough analysis of Mr. Davis's business and provided him with data-driven recommendations for improvement. Slowly, Mr. Davis began to listen to the consultant's advice and implemented some of the suggested changes. As a result, his company started to recover and regain its competitive edge. Practical strategies for overcoming a closed mind. Practice active listening. Make a conscious effort to listen attentively to others, even when you disagree with their opinions. Focus on understanding their perspectives and avoid interrupting or formulating rebuttals while they are speaking. Seek out diverse perspectives. Actively seek out opportunities to engage with people who hold different beliefs, values, and backgrounds than your own. Read books, watch documentaries, and attend events that expose you to new ideas and perspectives. Question your assumptions. Regularly challenge your own beliefs and assumptions. Ask yourself why you believe what you believe and whether there is any evidence to support your views. Be willing to consider alternative explanations and perspectives. Embrace failure as a learning opportunity. View mistakes and failures as opportunities for growth and learning. Instead of dwelling on your setbacks, analyze what went wrong and identify ways to improve in the future. Cultivate humility. Recognize that you don't have all the answers and that there is always more to learn. Be willing to admit when you are wrong and to seek guidance from others. Practice mindfulness. Cultivate awareness of your thoughts and emotions. Pay attention to when you are feeling defensive or resistant to new ideas. Take a deep breath and try to approach the situation with an open mind. By implementing these strategies, you can break down the walls of your closed mind and cultivate a more open, flexible, and receptive approach to the world around you. Remember, wisdom is not a destination, but a journey, a continuous process of learning, growing, and evolving. Sign 2. Constant blaming, the shield that becomes a prison. The second unmistakable sign of a mind not yet touched by wisdom is the pervasive habit of constant blaming. Individuals who exhibit this characteristic are masters of excuses, always finding someone or something else to shoulder the responsibility for their failures, shortcomings, and misfortunes. For them, nothing is ever their fault. A failed project? The market was too volatile, the competition too fierce, or the economy too unpredictable. A missed promotion? The boss was biased, the selection process was unfair, or the other candidate had an unfair advantage. A personal setback? Someone else's actions, unforeseen circumstances, or plain bad luck were to blame. But deep down, we all know that blaming is nothing more than a shield, a flimsy defense mechanism used to avoid confronting the uncomfortable truth about our own limitations, mistakes, and areas for improvement. It is a way to protect our egos from the sting of criticism and the burden of responsibility. However, this same shield, designed to protect us from harm, ultimately becomes a prison, trapping us in a cycle of self-deception and preventing us from achieving our full potential. By constantly deflecting blame, we deny ourselves the opportunity to learn from our mistakes, to identify our weaknesses, and to develop the resilience and resourcefulness needed to overcome challenges. Consider the case of Lisa, an event organizer with whom I once had the misfortune of working. Lisa was tasked with planning a major conference for a high-profile client. The event was crucial for the client's business development, and Lisa was under immense pressure to deliver a successful outcome. Unfortunately, the conference turned out to be a flop, plagued by low attendance, lackluster presentations, and logistical mishaps. Instead of taking ownership of her role in the failure, Lisa immediately blamed the marketing team for not promoting the event effectively enough. She accused them of incompetence, negligence, and a lack of commitment. However, upon closer investigation, it became clear that Lisa herself was largely responsible for the event's shortcomings. She had failed to send the event details to the marketing team on time, delaying the entire marketing campaign and limiting their ability to generate buzz and attract attendees. Even when confronted with this evidence, Lisa continued to point fingers, refusing to accept her own role in the debacle. She insisted that the marketing team should have been more proactive, that the client's expectations were unrealistic, and that the market conditions were simply unfavorable. The consequences of Lisa's blame-shifting behavior were swift and devastating. Her colleagues lost trust in her, questioning her judgment, her reliability, and her integrity. The client was deeply disappointed with the conference, damaging the relationship with the company. And Lisa, unable to learn from her mistakes, was eventually forced to step down from her position. Responsibility, though often heavy and demanding, is the gateway to growth, the catalyst for transformation, and the foundation for lasting success. Wise individuals understand this fundamental principle and embrace responsibility with courage, humility, and a commitment to continuous improvement. They admit their mistakes, not because they enjoy criticism or revel in self-deprecation, but because they understand that truth brings opportunities to learn, to grow, and to become better versions of themselves. They take ownership of their actions, both successes and failures, and use their experiences as stepping stones on the path to wisdom. Stoic philosophy provides a powerful framework for understanding the importance of responsibility. Stoics believe that mastering life begins with mastering responsibility, taking control of our thoughts, emotions, and actions, and accepting the consequences of our choices. Epictetus, a prominent Stoic philosopher, wrote extensively about the importance of taking responsibility for our lives. In his Enchiridion, he stated that it is not things themselves that disturb men, but their judgments about these things. He argued that we have the power to control our thoughts and emotions, and that we should not blame external circumstances for our unhappiness. If you notice yourself falling into a pattern of blaming others, pause and ask yourself, have I done everything I could to ensure a positive outcome? Is there something I could have done differently? What lessons can I learn from this experience? Blaming won't change the outcome of the situation, but taking responsibility will change you. It will empower you to learn from your mistakes, to grow as an individual, and to create a more positive and fulfilling life. Wise individuals don't shy away from their mistakes. They embrace them as opportunities for growth and self-improvement. They understand that failure is not the opposite of success, but rather an integral part of the journey. They learn from their setbacks, adapt to changing circumstances, and move forward with renewed determination and wisdom. And you can too. Choose the path of truth, improvement, and greatness. The tendency to blame others is a deeply ingrained human behavior rooted in various psychological factors. Understanding these underlying mechanisms can help us better recognize and address this detrimental habit. Ego defense mechanisms. Blaming serves as a primary ego defense mechanism, protecting our self-esteem from the pain of acknowledging our own flaws and mistakes. By attributing failures to external factors, we avoid the discomfort of confronting our limitations. Cognitive biases. Several cognitive biases contribute to blame-shifting behavior. Self-serving bias. The tendency to attribute successes to internal factors, e.g., skill, intelligence, and failures to external factors, e.g., bad luck, unfair circumstances. Fundamental attribution error. the tendency to overestimate the role of personality traits and underestimate the role of situational factors when explaining other people's behavior. Confirmation bias, the tendency to seek out and interpret information that confirms our existing beliefs while ignoring information that contradicts them. Learned behavior. Blaming can be a learned behavior, acquired through observing and imitating the behavior of others, particularly parents, caregivers, or authority figures. Lack of self-awareness. Individuals who lack self-awareness may be less likely to recognize their own contributions to negative outcomes and more prone to blaming others. Practical strategies for breaking the blame cycle. Cultivate self-awareness. Develop a deeper understanding of your own thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. Pay attention to when you are feeling defensive or tempted to blame others. Practice empathy. Try to see situations from other people's perspectives. Consider the challenges they may be facing and the factors that may have influenced their behavior. Take ownership of your actions. Acknowledge your own role in both successes and failures. Identify areas where you could have done things differently and commit to learning from your mistakes. Focus on solutions, not blame. Instead of dwelling on who is to blame for a problem, focus on finding solutions and preventing similar problems from occurring in the future. Practice forgiveness. Forgive yourself and others for past mistakes. Holding on to resentment and blame will only perpetuate the cycle of negativity. Seek feedback. Ask trusted friends, family members, or colleagues for honest feedback on your behavior. Be open to hearing their perspectives and willing to make changes. By understanding the psychology of blame and implementing these practical strategies, you can break free from the blame cycle and cultivate a more responsible, accountable, and fulfilling life. Sign 3. Arrogance over humility, the barrier to growth. Have you ever encountered someone who seems to believe that they're the smartest person in the room, constantly interrupting others, dismissing their ideas, and striving to dominate every conversation? If so, you have likely encountered the third sign of a mind that is still distant from the shores of wisdom: arrogance. Arrogance is not merely a mask for insecurity, a defense mechanism against the fear of being exposed as inadequate. It is a far more insidious and self-defeating trait, acting as the single greatest barrier to personal growth, intellectual development, and the cultivation of true wisdom. Truly intelligent and wise people, in contrast to the arrogant, understand the profound importance of listening more than they speak. They recognize that learning is a lifelong process, a continuous journey of discovery that requires an open mind, a humble spirit, and a willingness to embrace the unknown. They understand that every interaction, every conversation, every experience is an opportunity to learn something new, to expand their understanding of the world, and to deepen their connection with others. They approach each encounter with a sense of curiosity, a desire to learn, and a willingness to be challenged. Consider the example of Michael, a senior manager at a large corporation. Michael was widely regarded as a brilliant strategist, a gifted communicator, and a highly effective leader. However, beneath his polished exterior lurked a deep-seated arrogance that undermined his potential and alienated his colleagues. In every meeting, Michael would dominate the conversation, interrupting others, dismissing their ideas, and asserting his own opinions with unwavering conviction. He rarely sought input from his team members, preferring to rely on his own judgment, which he considered to be superior to theirs. On one occasion, when the company faced a major setback due to the failure of a high-profile project, Michael immediately blamed his team for not understanding his brilliant ideas. He accused them of incompetence, negligence, and a lack of commitment. However, in reality, the project's failure was largely due to Michael's own arrogance and his refusal to listen to the concerns and suggestions of his team members. He had ignored their warnings about potential pitfalls, dismissed their alternative approaches, and insisted on pursuing a course of action that was ultimately doomed to failure. When his boss asked him to reflect on the project's failure and identify areas for improvement, Michael was unable to come up with a single valid reason. His arrogance had blinded him to any opportunity for self-reflection, self-criticism, or learning from his mistakes. Humility, on the other hand, is not about thinking less of yourself. It is about thinking of yourself less. It is about prioritizing learning and collaboration over ego gratification, about recognizing that you are not the center of the universe, and about valuing the contributions of others. Humility allows us to approach the world with a sense of openness, curiosity, and wonder. It allows us to learn from our mistakes, to adapt to changing circumstances, and to connect with others on a deeper and more meaningful level. Stoic philosophy emphasizes the importance of cultivating humility as a pathway to wisdom. Stoics believe that true wisdom comes only when we open ourselves to new perspectives, challenge our own assumptions, and embrace the continuous process of learning and self-improvement. Seneca, a prominent Stoic philosopher and advisor to the Roman Emperor Nero, wrote extensively about the importance of humility. In his Letters from a Stoic, he advised readers to live among men as if God beheld you. Speak with God as if men heard you. He also emphasized the importance of being humble and gentle and not thinking too highly of yourself. If you ever find yourself caught in the trap of arrogance, pause and ask yourself, am I seeking recognition, or do I genuinely want to grow? Am I listening to understand, or am I merely waiting for my turn to speak? Am I open to learning from others, or am I convinced that I already know everything? Wisdom does not lie in making others feel small or insignificant, but in helping them feel empowered, valued, and capable of contributing their unique talents and perspectives to the world. The truly wise allow humility to guide their actions, knowing that real intelligence emerges when the noise of arrogance quiets down and the voice of reason, compassion, and understanding can be heard. And you can choose to be that wise person. Recent advances in neuroscience have shed light on the neural mechanisms underlying arrogance and humility. Studies have shown that arrogance is associated with specific brain regions and neural pathways. Prefrontal cortex, PFC, the PFC, responsible for executive functions such as planning, decision-making, and self-awareness, plays a crucial role in regulating arrogance. Individuals with damage to the PFC may exhibit increased arrogance and impaired self-reflection. Amygdala. The amygdala, involved in processing emotions such as fear and anger, can also contribute to arrogant behavior. When individuals feel threatened or insecure, the amygdala may trigger defensive responses, such as arrogance and aggression. Reward system. Arrogant behavior can activate the brain's reward system, releasing dopamine and creating a sense of pleasure and satisfaction. This can reinforce arrogant behavior and make it more difficult to change. Humility, on the other hand, is associated with different brain regions and neural pathways. Anterior cingulate cortex, ACC, the ACC, involved in conflict monitoring and error detection, is activated when individuals acknowledge their mistakes and express humility. Insula. The insula, responsible for processing emotions such as empathy and compassion, is activated when individuals feel connected to others and express humility. Default mode network, DMN, the DMN, a network of brain regions that are active when the mind is at rest, is associated with self-reflection and introspection. Humility is thought to be facilitated by increased activity in the DMN. Practical strategies for cultivating humility. Practice gratitude. Regularly reflect on the things you are grateful for in your life. This will help you to appreciate the good things you have and to recognize that you are not solely responsible for your success. Seek out constructive criticism. Ask trusted friends, family members, or colleagues for honest feedback on your behavior. Be open to hearing their perspectives and willing to make changes. Practice mindfulness. Cultivate awareness of your thoughts and emotions. Pay attention to when you're feeling arrogant or superior to others. Take a deep breath and try to approach the situation with a more humble and open mind. Volunteer your time. Helping others is a great way to cultivate humility. By serving those in need, you will gain a greater appreciation for your own blessings and recognize that you are not alone in the world. Embrace lifelong learning. Commit to being a lifelong learner. Read books, attend workshops, and engage in activities that challenge your thinking and expand your knowledge. Remember your mistakes. Reflect on your past mistakes and failures. Acknowledge that you are not perfect and that you are always capable of making mistakes. By understanding the neuroscience of arrogance and humility and implementing these practical strategies, you can cultivate a more humble and open-minded approach to the world around you. Sign 4. Lack of empathy, the isolation of ignorance. A lack of empathy is one of the clearest and most disheartening indicators of a mind that has not yet fully grasped the essence of wisdom. It reflects an inability to step into another person's shoes, to understand their feelings, to grasp their experiences, or to appreciate their perspectives. Without empathy, individuals live in a state of emotional isolation, disconnected from meaningful relationships, unable to comprehend the impact of their actions on others, and often causing hurt and suffering without even realizing it. This absence of empathy doesn't just damage interpersonal relationships, it fundamentally diminishes the depth of one's character, hindering personal growth and limiting the capacity for genuine connection. Let me share a story about a colleague named Paul. Paul was known for his unwavering focus on results and his relentless pursuit of efficiency. He had a habit of complaining about project delays and berating team members for not meeting deadlines, without ever trying to understand the reasons behind their struggles. On one occasion, a coworker named Susan missed a deadline because her young son had fallen seriously ill and required her constant attention. Instead of offering support or understanding, Paul publicly criticized her in front of the entire team, accusing her of unprofessionalism and incompetence. He didn't care about Susan's personal circumstances. He cared only about the results he expected. A year later, fate intervened in an ironic twist. Paul found himself in a similar situation, caring for his ailing mother, who required round-the-clock care. He struggled to balance his work responsibilities with his caregiving duties and found himself falling behind on his projects. Only then, when he experienced the challenges and pressures that Susan had faced, did Paul begin to understand the impact of his thoughtless criticisms. He realized how his lack of empathy had hurt Susan and created a toxic work environment. The absence of empathy doesn't just make someone appear cold, callous, and insensitive. It blinds them to opportunities for learning, growth, and connection through meaningful relationships. It creates a barrier between themselves and others, preventing them from experiencing the richness and depth of human connection. Stoic philosophy, with its emphasis on virtue, reason, and living in accordance with nature, teaches us that true wisdom doesn't stem from knowing everything, but from connecting with others on a deep and meaningful level. It is through empathy, compassion, and understanding that we develop our character, cultivate meaningful relationships, and contribute to the well-being of society. Those who lack empathy not only fail to enrich their spiritual lives, but also isolate themselves, leaving a lasting impression of insensitivity and indifference. They miss out on the opportunity to learn from the experiences of others, to grow as individuals, and to make a positive impact on the world. Remember, empathy is not a weakness. It is a strength. It is the bridge to wisdom, the key to human connection, and the foundation for a more compassionate and understanding world. When you pause to truly listen to someone else, to understand their perspective, and to appreciate their feelings, you not only help them, but also gain invaluable lessons for yourself. An empathetic heart enriches your world and enables you to navigate life's complexities with grace, understanding, and wisdom. It allows you to connect with others on a deeper level, to build stronger relationships, and to create a more positive and fulfilling life. If you find yourself lacking empathy at times, start by listening without judgment. Put aside your own thoughts and feelings and focus on truly understanding the other person's perspective. Ask questions, seek clarification, and show genuine interest in their experiences. It's the first step toward opening your heart and mind, guiding you closer to genuine wisdom. Neuroscience research has identified several brain regions and neural circuits involved in empathy. Mirror neuron system, MNS. The MNS is a network of brain cells that fire both when we perform an action and when we observe someone else performing the same action. This system is thought to play a crucial role in our ability to understand and share the experiences of others. Anterior cingulate cortex. ACC. The ACC is involved in processing emotions, particularly pain and distress. Studies have shown that the ACC is activated both when we experience pain ourselves and when we observe someone else experiencing pain. Insula. The insula is involved in processing emotions such as disgust, anger, and sadness. It is also activated when we empathize with others' emotional experiences. Prefrontal cortex, PFC. The PFC is involved in executive functions such as planning, decision-making, and self-awareness. It plays a crucial role in regulating our emotional responses and in inhibiting impulsive behavior. Individuals with damage to these brain regions may experience difficulties with empathy and may exhibit a lack of concern for the well-being of others. Practical strategies for enhancing empathy. Practice active listening. Pay attention to both the verbal and nonverbal cues that people use to communicate. Ask clarifying questions and summarize what you have heard to ensure that you understand their perspective. Seek out diverse perspectives. Engage with people who have different backgrounds, experiences, and perspectives than your own. Read books, watch documentaries, and attend events that expose you to new ideas and cultures. Practice perspective taking. Try to imagine yourself in another person's situation. Ask yourself how you would feel and how you would react if you were in their shoes. Volunteer your time. Helping others is a great way to cultivate empathy. By serving those in need, you will gain a greater appreciation for their struggles and a deeper understanding of their perspectives. Practice mindfulness. Cultivate awareness of your thoughts and emotions. Pay attention to when you are feeling judgmental or dismissive of others. Take a deep breath and try to approach the situation with a more open and compassionate mind. Engage in creative activities. Reading fiction, watching movies, and engaging in other creative activities can help you to develop your empathy skills by allowing you to experience the world from different perspectives. By understanding the biological basis of empathy and implementing these practical strategies, you can cultivate a more compassionate and understanding approach to the world around you. Sign 5. The fear of change, shackles of the familiar. The fifth sign of a mind that is not yet fully awakened to the wisdom of the world is the debilitating fear of change. The comfort zone, that familiar and predictable realm where routines are established, habits are ingrained, and uncertainties are minimized, may feel cozy and secure, but it is also, in many ways, a prison. Those who are gripped by the fear of change cling to old habits, familiar routines, and established patterns of behavior. Even when those habits have long outlived their usefulness, even when the world around them is evolving at a rapid pace, and even when their own personal growth is being stifled. They are like children afraid of the dark, hesitant to step outside the familiar glow of the nightlight, unwilling to explore the vast and wondrous possibilities that lie beyond the confines of their comfort zone. They fear the unknown, the uncertain, and the unpredictable. But my friends, life is not a stagnant pool. It is a dynamic river, constantly flowing, bending, and transforming. The wise understand this fundamental truth and learn to adapt, to embrace change, to navigate the unpredictable currents of life with grace, resilience, and adaptability. The foolish, on the other hand, try to hold water in their hands, attempting to control the uncontrollable, to resist the inevitable, and to cling to the familiar in a world that is constantly changing. They only succeed in watching their lives slip through their fingers, leaving them feeling frustrated, resentful, and left behind. Consider the example of Michael, a man who had spent his entire life in a small, close-knit neighborhood. He knew every corner, every street, every face in the community. He was comfortable, secure, and deeply rooted in his surroundings. When his grown children, seeking better opportunities and a more fulfilling life, encouraged him to move to a new area, to explore new horizons, and to embrace new experiences, Michael vehemently refused. "I know everyone here," he said, his voice filled with apprehension. "Why should I go somewhere else?" But as time passed, the neighborhood began to change. Old friends moved away, familiar shops closed down, and the sense of community that Michael had cherished began to erode. He realized that even though he resisted change, the world around him was still moving forward, leaving him feeling isolated, out of touch, and increasingly irrelevant. Eventually, after much soul-searching and encouragement from his family, Michael made the difficult decision to move closer to his children. To his surprise, he discovered that the new environment not only brought him comfort and companionship, but also opened up opportunities that he had never imagined. He met new people, explored new interests, and discovered a renewed sense of purpose in his life. The fear of change doesn't just keep us in the safe zone. It also prevents us from exploring greater possibilities, from reaching our full potential, and from experiencing the richness and diversity of life. It limits our horizons, restricts our growth, and ultimately diminishes our quality of life. Stoic philosophy teaches us that change is inevitable, that it is an intrinsic part of the human experience, and that only by embracing it with an open heart and a flexible mind can we truly live a full, meaningful, and fulfilling life. Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher, stated that it is not things that disturb men, but their judgments about these things. He argued that we have the power to control our reactions to external events, and that we should not allow fear and anxiety to dictate our choices. If you find yourself avoiding change, clinging to the familiar, and resisting new experiences, ask yourself, what's the worst that could happen if I step outside my comfort zone? What's the best that could happen if I embrace change? Life doesn't stand still, and if you don't learn to go with the flow, to adapt to changing circumstances, and to embrace new opportunities, you'll be left behind, feeling stagnant, irrelevant, and unfulfilled. Remember, change is not a threat. It is an opportunity. It is a step toward growth, a pathway to wisdom, and a catalyst for personal transformation. While resisting, it only keeps you stagnant in fear, clinging to the past, and missing out on the richness and beauty of the present moment. Resistance to change is a common human phenomenon with roots in several psychological factors. Fear of the unknown. Change often involves uncertainty and ambiguity, which can trigger anxiety and fear. People tend to prefer the predictability and familiarity of the known to the uncertainty of the unknown. Loss aversion. People are more sensitive to potential losses than to potential gains. Even if a change offers potential benefits, people may resist it if they perceive a risk of loss. Habit formation. Habits are ingrained patterns of behavior that become automatic over time. Breaking habits can be difficult and uncomfortable, leading to resistance to change. Threat to identity. Change can threaten people's sense of identity and self-worth. If a change requires people to adopt new roles, skills, or behaviors, they may feel threatened by the prospect of losing their sense of self. Lack of control. Change that is imposed upon people without their input or involvement can lead to resistance. People want to feel like they have some control over their lives and their environment. Practical strategies for overcoming the fear of change. Identify your fears. Take the time to identify the specific fears that are driving your resistance to change. Once you understand your fears, you can begin to address them. Focus on the benefits. Remind yourself of the potential benefits that the change could bring. Focus on the positive aspects of the new situation and how it could improve your life. Start small. Don't try to make too many changes at once. Start with small, manageable changes and gradually work your way up to larger ones. Seek support. Talk to trusted friends, family members, or colleagues about your fears and concerns. Having someone to support you and encourage you can make the process of change much easier. Practice mindfulness. Cultivate awareness of your thoughts and emotions. Pay attention to when you're feeling anxious or resistant to change. Take a deep breath and try to approach the situation with a more open and accepting mind. Visualize success. Imagine yourself successfully navigating the change and achieving your goals. Visualizing success can help you to build confidence and reduce anxiety. Embrace the learning process. View change as an opportunity to learn and grow. Be willing to experiment, make mistakes, and learn from your experiences. By understanding the psychology of resistance to change and implementing these practical strategies, you can overcome your fears and embrace change as a catalyst for personal growth and development. Sign 6. Talking more than listening, the echo chamber of self. The sixth and final sign we will explore, and one that often serves as a culmination of several of the previously discussed traits, is the tendency to talk far more than one listens. This isn't merely a matter of being talkative or enjoying conversation. It's a pattern of behavior that reveals a deeper lack of respect for others, a diminished capacity for learning, and an inflated sense of self-importance. It represents a mind more interested in broadcasting its own thoughts than in receiving the wisdom and perspectives of others. This is a hallmark of folly. Have you ever been in the company of someone who insists on knowing everything, who dominates every conversation, who constantly interrupts others, and who rarely takes the time to truly listen to what others have to say? If so, you have witnessed this characteristic in action. Individuals who talk more than they listen are often so preoccupied with their own thoughts, opinions, and experiences that they fail to recognize the value of other people's contributions. They love the sound of their own voice, often disregarding others' perspectives, which not only creates tension and resentment, but also damages relationships and stifles collaboration. Let me share a story about John, a father I once knew. Every evening at dinner, John would monopolize the conversation, recounting his own accomplishments, sharing his opinions on every topic, and rarely allowing his wife or children to get a word in edgewise. His kids would try to share their experiences from school, their hopes for the future, or their struggles with everyday challenges. But John frequently interrupted, dismissing their concerns, offering unsolicited advice, or launching into lengthy anecdotes about his own life. When his wife suggested changes to improve the family's financial situation, proposing new budgeting strategies, or exploring alternative income streams, John dismissed her ideas outright, insisting that his way was the only way and that she didn't understand the complexities of managing money. The tragic part was that John didn't realize how much his behavior was making his family feel unheard, unvalued, and disrespected. His lack of listening created a rift, leaving everyone feeling overlooked, dismissed, and increasingly disconnected. The dinner table, which should have been a place of connection and conversation, became a battleground of monologues. Listening is not a passive activity. It's an active skill that requires genuine attention, focused concentration, and a deep respect for others. It involves suspending your own thoughts and judgments, putting aside your own agenda, and making a conscious effort to understand the other person's perspective. Stoic philosophy reminds us that listening is the pathway to learning, the key to understanding, and the foundation for building meaningful relationships. In silence, we find deep understanding. In attentiveness, we cultivate wisdom. And in empathy, we forge lasting connections. Conversely, talking without listening is like sowing seeds in barren soil. Nothing will ever grow. It's a futile exercise in self-aggrandizement that ultimately leaves you isolated, ignorant, and disconnected from the world around you. If you see yourself in John's story, now is the time to change. Next time your child shares about their day, your spouse offers their thoughts, or a colleague presents an idea, pause, take a deep breath, and truly listen. Don't just wait for your turn to talk. Focus on understanding, on empathizing, and on appreciating the other person's perspective. By doing so, you'll not only improve your relationships, but also create an environment of love, mutual respect, and genuine connection. You'll discover new perspectives, gain valuable insights, and cultivate a deeper understanding of the world. Remember, the wise person listens, the foolish one only talks. Choose to be wise. Different communication styles can contribute to the tendency to talk more than listen. Dominant communication style. Individuals with a dominant communication style tend to be assertive, direct, and controlling in conversations. They may interrupt others, express their opinions forcefully, and dominate discussions. Self-focused communication style. Individuals with a self-focused communication style tend to talk about themselves and their experiences, often without showing much interest in what others have to say. Interrupting. The habit of interrupting others is a clear sign of talking more than listening. Interrupting conveys disrespect and a lack of interest in what the other person has to say. One-upping. One-upping involves responding to someone's story with a better story of your own. This behavior can make others feel like their experiences are not valued or appreciated. Active listening techniques. Pay attention. Give the speaker your full attention. Make eye contact, nod your head, and avoid distractions such as checking your phone or fidgeting. Show that you are listening. Use verbal and nonverbal cues to show that you are engaged in the conversation. Say things like, "I understand," "That's interesting," or "Tell me more." Provide feedback. Summarize what the speaker has said to ensure that you understand their perspective. Ask clarifying questions to gain a deeper understanding of their point of view. Defer judgment. Avoid interrupting the speaker or offering unsolicited advice. Allow them to finish their thoughts before you respond. Respond appropriately. Respond in a way that shows you have been listening and that you understand the speaker's perspective. Offer support, encouragement, or validation. Reflect on your own biases. Be aware of your own biases and assumptions and how they may be affecting your ability to listen effectively. By understanding different communication styles and practicing active listening techniques, you can become a more effective communicator and a more compassionate listener. Conclusion. So, we've walked through the 6 signs of a mind that is not yet fully aligned with wisdom. A closed mind, constant blaming, arrogance over humility, a lack of empathy, the fear of change, and talking more than listening. These are not immutable character flaws, but rather tendencies, habits, and patterns of behavior that can be identified, addressed, and ultimately transformed. But before you click away and start wondering, "Am I stupid?" or begin scrutinizing others for these signs of unwisdom, hold on for a second. The truth is that all of us, at some point in our lives, have exhibited one or more of these signs. Maybe we've been arrogant at times, clinging too tightly to our comfort zones, or, let's be real, talk too much without really listening. We are all imperfect, fallible human beings, navigating the complexities of life with varying degrees of success and wisdom. Here's the key takeaway, the core message of this entire exploration. Recognizing these signs isn't about criticism, judgment, or self-flagellation. It's about improvement, growth, and self-compassion. It's about acknowledging our limitations, embracing our imperfections, and committing to a lifelong journey of self-discovery. Stoic philosophy teaches us that wisdom doesn't come from always being right, from never making mistakes, or from possessing all the answers. It comes from continually learning, from admitting our mistakes, from being willing to challenge our own assumptions, and from embracing the continuous process of self-improvement. Each sign of unwisdom is actually a golden opportunity to become wiser, more compassionate, and more effective in our lives and relationships. Each setback, each challenge, and each moment of self-awareness is a chance to grow, to learn, and to evolve into a better version of ourselves. So, if you find yourself resonating with one or more of these traits, take it as an invitation to evolve. Step out of your comfort zone. Listen more than you talk. Blame less, and take more responsibility. Embrace change as an opportunity, and cultivate humility as a pathway to wisdom. This journey isn't for the perfect, the infallible, or the self-righteous. It's for the brave, the curious, and the compassionate. It's for the ones who can look at themselves honestly, acknowledge their shortcomings, and say, "I can do better. I can be better. I can become wiser." Remember, stupidity is temporary, ignorance is correctable, and folly can be transformed into wisdom. But wisdom is not a destination. It's a journey, a continuous process of learning, growing, and evolving. And on that journey, you're not alone. Keep growing, keep learning, and keep striving to become the best version of yourself. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so we can continue exploring meaningful lessons together. Thank you for watching.